Morrowind is a numbers game. Every action you take in the game, your computer does some beeps and boops and rolls a set of dice. Your odds of success scale most heavily with your skill level, but your attributes play a lesser role as well. But what if all those attributes started at level 1 and stayed at level 1? No potions, no booze, no gear to fortify my attributes, none of that. Even when I level up, I will consult the Dreamsleeve and force those attributes back down to 1. If they get drained to 0, that's fine too. There are some less apparent consequences of having 1 in every attribute. Yeah, your accuracy is reduced and you have less carry capacity, but did you realize you wouldn't be able to join any guilds? Every guild, every joinable faction actually, requires you to have at least level 30 in their favorite attributes. That's not an option for us. You may think we could avoid the accuracy issue by paying to train up to level 100 as soon as we could afford it, but you can't pay to train a skill beyond its governing attributes a level. This means we can't pay to train any skills that are above level 1, so all of them. You can't cast spells, at least no good spells. 1 intelligence means 1 magicka. Quite the sorcerer. And your fatigue is the sum of your strength, agility, willpower, and endurance, so we only have 4 fatigue. But this is less of a detriment than you might think. Fatigue plays a role in everything, and this is where the cheese is stored. My first attempt at this was a Nord named Neo. Tried to kill Vivek using Skullcrusher, and it didn't go well. My second attempt, an orc named Keanu, we killed Tholer Saryani for his key, tried to kill Vivek, and it didn't go well. I streamed those attempts actually, and the VODs are up on my VOD channel if you're interested. Attempt 3, the successful attempt. Keanu, the orc born under the Atronach sign with several weapon skills as majors, because I'm not terribly certain which will be the most useful. The Bound Battle Axe is a strong option since it's weightless and has high maximum damage. Short blades are weak, but they're fast, so they may have the potential to stagger lock some enemies. Finally, hand-to-hand might be useful, since its damage is independent of our strength level. Without non-vanilla modifications from OpenMW, hand-to-hand damage scales proportionally to your skill level. All I'm certain of is that the Berserk power will be vital to this whole run. It fortifies our attack by 100 points for 60 seconds, effectively eliminating any accuracy concerns for those 60 seconds. It also fortifies our health by 20 points, which is more dangerous than helpful, fortifies our fatigue by 200 points, more cheesy than you might think, and drains our agility by 100 points. The agility drain is negligible because our agility is level 1 regardless. We're gonna get knocked down in a single hit anyway, so our agility level being 0 or 1 doesn't matter. Yes, your stagger resistance is directly related to your agility. Having 1 agility means we're gonna be on the ground a lot, and then we're gonna die. Oh, and I should probably explain why I took the Atronach sign. It's a defensive thing mostly. I'm not gonna be casting any spells, but if I get hit with a spell, there's a 50-50 chance that I just absorb it. Oh, I have a deadline coming up. Hey, Narratively Spurious Clone. You mind handling a sponsorship for me? Yeah, sure, what we got? Life in the North by Tao Wong, the first of 12 books in the System Apocalypse. Life in the North is a literary RPG. Now, what does that mean? So you know those stories where somebody from our world falls into a fictional world? It's like that, but reversed. The fictional world falls into our world. I didn't misspeak. John's out camping in the Yukon when some mystical force alters the entire planet, changing it into some worldwide game-like RPG. Animals mutate, new monstrous creatures spawn, and every single person is equipped with stats and perks of their own choosing. All that RPG goodness. And look at this. John's even got his own character sheet that upgrades as he levels up throughout the game. Of course, the RPG isn't fairly balanced. Just because you start at level 1 doesn't mean the region you're currently in is also level 1. So, like everybody, most people die like immediately. But John doesn't. And he's in something around a level 100 region? So how does he get back to civilization? If there's civilization to even get back to. If this series sounds interesting to you, and it is pretty interesting to me, I like it, there's a link in the description and in the pinned comment, and you can get it in any of your preferred formats: hardcover, paperback, ebook, and even audiobook, narrated by award-winning narrator Nick Podell. That was perfect. Thanks, Narratively Spurious Clone. Listen, man, I'm not the clone. What's going on in here? As soon as I step into the world, I slip into a deep slumber and make myself one with the Dreamsleeve, altering the fabric of reality itself. Something I didn't learn until after I finished the run and I was writing the script is that your starting health is determined by the average of your strength and endurance, and that means my starting health should have been 1. I could have set it to 1 right at the start, but I didn't. I didn't realize that. I'm just putting it out there right now, so everything's transparent. If that's a problem, sorry. But let's look at a silver lining here. If we only had 1 health, having 1 agility wouldn't matter. We wouldn't get knocked over because we would just die in a single hit regardless. 1 strength means our maximum carry capacity is 5 Brambleplinths. I really don't think I need to explain why that's a problem, but there's no reason to fear because there are a couple options available to use, the easiest being within a tomb outside of Molag Rather than doing my usual foraging for stealable memorabilia around Balmora, instead I collected gold from the crates around town, which aren't owned, so it's not stealing, and bought a single scroll from Galbadir, Omsivia Intervention for 74 septims. With our personality at level 1, our starting disposition with just about everyone is super low, to the point that some might not even bother doing business with us. Those that do so at increased prices, so we're gonna have to be a bit frugal for now. Even taxi services are a bit pricey, but not so pricey that we can't afford a trip to Molag. South of Molag is an ancestral tomb, the Raidus Ancestral Tomb, and in that tomb is a bunch of scamps that we can dodge around so we can get our hands on the Raidus Ancestral Robes. They come with 2 constant effect enchantments, Detect Life, 25 feet, wow exciting, and Feather, 50 points, giving us an extra 50 points of carrying capacity without having to increase our strength. It's actually better than increasing our strength because it'll keep our carrying capacity at 0 out of 5 until we get more than 50 Brambleplinths worth of stuff. Damn it, I don't have enough gold. I wonder if I use Berserk, will it reduce the cost of the trip? It makes it more expensive, what? Why? Why does it cost more? Oh, you're angry, we're not going to take you.
Your wounds are great.
Come on, man. Shit. Not in front of the script. We have no weapons right now. Weapons are heavy, so I wanted to get the robes before figuring out what we'd be using. All we have are fists. With Berserk, my fists are super accurate, but the damage is super low. Something like 2 points of health damage from a fully drawn back swing once the enemy is on the ground, and this is before accounting for any armor they're wearing. So it's a long fight, but if they're stuck on the ground, why does it matter? Well, Berserk only lasts 60 seconds, and if you happen to take some damage at the start of the fight, when a Fortify health effect wears off, you lose that health. In the case of Berserk, it's 20 points, so if you have less than 20 health, you die. Fortifying your health can be super dangerous, so I don't have enough gold to get back to Balmora. Instead, we'll roam around Molag for a bit and find something to steal and then sell it. Booze is great, actually. Everyone loves booze. Well, Keanu doesn't like booze. He's straight edge. Also, that would fortify our attributes. Now that we're back in Balmora, and light as a feather, or 50 feathers, or we're as heavy as 50 feathers are not. You know the old saying, a kilogram of steel weighs more than a kilogram of feathers. We can now steal heavier stuff, like the Sword of White Will. I'm not super concerned about getting the best deal, so I'll sell to Revere for a Devil Tonto, a Devil Spear, and 600 gold. He's getting the better end of this deal. Amulets are lighter than scrolls, so we'll buy an amulet of recall from Varric Germain. But sadly, we can't get Edwina Albert's intervention amulets since we can't join the guild. We're stuck with scrolls for that, for now. Enchantments would be helpful, but I don't want to turn this into another version of breaking Morrowind with enchanting, so I'm going to limit myself to creating only 3 enchanted items. We can't afford them yet, but we'll sort all that out later. Spoilers though, one will be an item with Omsivia Intervention, one will be an item with Divine Intervention, and another will be a shirt that's got a big pocket in it for a bound battle axe. That's it. Time to get rolling with the main quest. I could dodge past all the enemies in Arcane Thand, grab the drummer puzzle box and Omsivia out, but that'd be too easy. Oh, well, running away from him might have actually been harder. Berserk's a pretty good ability if you know the fight's gonna be quick. You just gotta make sure you wait a few hours afterwards instead of letting it wear off on its own, because you'll fall over otherwise. Similar to how you lose fortified health, you also lose fortified fatigue, except fatigue can go negative. Health can't go negative because, well, when it goes to 0, you die. When you lose the fatigue, it goes negative, so you have to lay there and wait for it to naturally regenerate. If you wait for an hour, it'll all regenerate back and then you'll stand up slowly. But if there's an enemy in the area and it's not attacking you for whatever reason, it's just somewhere off in the distance, you're not going to be able to wait, so you're going to have to lay there huffing and puffing, regenerating your fatigue at a rate of like 5 per second. It takes too long. It sucks. Oh, yeah, I didn't mention this little quirk. Your endurance level not only determines how much health you gain upon level up, but it also determines how much health you regenerate while resting. Every hour you heal 1/10 of your endurance level. With 1 endurance, it takes 10 hours to heal 1 hit point. But come on, there's nothing wrong with taking short sabbaticals while Dagoth Earth threatens to shunt the planet. With the accuracy issues all but eliminated, the real test of combat is not getting hit. Agility determines our stagger resistance, and with 1 agility, 0 under the effects of Berserk, all hits will stagger us, giving the enemies at least 1 more free hit. And with our strength so low, our damage output output is just about half what the baseline is, so fights end up lasting longer. The strength modifier on your damage before accounting for weapon condition and armor and such is your level plus 50 divided by 100. With 100 strength, the modifier is 1.5. With 1 strength, it's 0.51. Half, basically. Less damage means longer fights, means more time to get knocked over. QED. Whoa. What the? Why is it jumping so high? That was weird. What was that about? Quite a strange occurrence, isn't it? There are quirks to fortifying your fatigue to such great values over your maximum fatigue that I did not consider. Quirks that create limitless possibilities. But that's a discussion for later. Getting the skull for Sharn is trivial as well. Berserk with the Conjured Dagger makes quick work of most low-level enemies. What makes short blades so great, not just the conjured ones, but short blades in general, is that their damage range is very narrow. Their max damage is low, but their minimum damage is only about half their maximum. Compare that to a Conjured Battle Axe that does 1 to 80 points of damage. Fast attacks with one of those is like swinging around a dry pool noodle. You could probably do 2 minimum damage attacks with a dagger in the time it would take you to fully wind up for a max damage attack with the same dagger. The DPS is pretty good. The drawback with daggers is that they're not going to smack people into the dirt, and that's pretty fun. Here's where the cheese begins. Recall the accuracy formula. Take your weapon skill, plus a 5th of your agility, plus a 10th of your luck, and multiply that sum by 0.75 plus half of your current fatigue divided by your maximum fatigue. Then add in the attack and blind modifiers, but that's not super important. What's critical is that fatigue portion. During normal gameplay, your current fatigue will be equal to or less than your maximum fatigue. With full fatigue, the fatigue modifier works out to 1.25. With no fatigue, it's 0.75. But by fortifying your fatigue to, say, double your maximum fatigue, the modifier would increase to 1.75. Typically, doubling your fatigue is pretty tough since your total fatigue is the sum of your strength, agility, endurance, and willpower. So if you start off with 200 fatigue, you'd have to fortify it to 400 to get that effect. However, with 1 in every attribute, you only have 4 fatigue. Berserk fortifies your fatigue by 200 points. Doing the math, that fatigue modifier ends up being about 26. Not 1.26, 26. All dice rolls are 26 times more likely to succeed. It's pretty much guaranteed, which is stupid. But I'm rolling with it. Actually, I wonder if that means I can get better prices. Just in general. That other person was like, get away from me. I'm charging you more for a trip. Oh. Okay, so it's very easy. Oh man, orcs are overpowered. Oh, that is stupid. I can get everything for 1 coin. I believe it's cheap, so it is. It costs 1 coin. Bound Battle Axe for 300 seconds for 1 coin. Thank you, Galbadir. You're very sweet. Who needs creature merchants? So, I mean, this is pretty ridiculous. I could abuse this like crazy and make some really dumb enchantments, but I'm not going to do that. That's not in the spirit of things. That shirt containing a battle axe is the strongest enchantment I'll be making. Maybe you think even that is too strong. A fair criticism. But let me say this. A constant effect bound battle axe only costs about 10k. I didn't write any of this down, but this is my first thought off the top of my head. Get a Grand Soul Gem in Mournhold. Get a Soul Trap Scroll from any of the scroll vendors. Go to Odrysal, Soul Trap the Golden Saint that's there. Go to the Vassar Didanak Cave, tell Drambearer about it. He gives you a free Daedric weapon. You could sell that Daedric weapon to somebody in Mournhold, and then you use the money you got from that to pay Galbadir to make you a constant effect bound battle axe shirt. It'd be pretty easy, but this is funnier. The next part of the main quest requires us to be level 3, and since a berserking maniac can get any deals he wants, I just hung out with Klagius Clanler and bought and sold a bunch of his junk until I got enough mercantile levels to level up twice. The amount of mercantile XP you get is based on the raw difference between the vendor's initial offering and the amount you can change it by, assuming you can change it in a way that favors yourself. Reduce their selling price or increase their buying price. By buying a fork for over 1,000 gold and selling it back to him for the same amount, I get a mercantile level with every other transaction. Now at level 3, and of course I reset our attributes back to level 1, Kaya sends us to Vivec to get some answers from a few people living there. Huli is simple, kill the guys harassing him and bring the lizard to his friend's bookshop where he tells us about the Nerevarine cult. And we steal a copy of the Progress of Truth while we're here. Next is Adhere, and I usually just self-defend myself against the taxman by taunting him into attacking me. Unsurprisingly, Berserk makes my taunts way more powerful, and the guy goes Berserk himself. I had no choice but to kill him. He was coming right for me. With the taxman no longer looking for it here and there, she tells us what she knows about the 6th house. Lastly, Milo tells us about the dissident priests.
Why do you Outlanders think you can bother anyone you please?
Just about everybody in Morrowind hates you by default, but if you play with one personality, they'll go out of their way to tell you how much they hate your guts. Like, they will not shut up about it. They are super talkative, you actually start feeling offended after a while. Kaya sends us to Hassaur Zain Subani, who tells us about the Ursulaku Ashlanders, but before we head off to their camp, we need to return to Kaya so he can tell us to go to their camp. A pair of intervention amulets would be nice, however. Using the jewelry I swiped from Rowland Halalo's corpse, we can go berserk in front of Galbadir, and she'll be more than happy to enchant a couple amulets for us, free of charge. We'll throw our one septum tip though. We're a gregarious orc. Before being sent to Morrowind, Keanu was a landlord. He always waited until after the holidays to raise the rent. He's a kind guy. To the Ashlands. Yeah, jump height is affected by the very same fatigue relationship we talked about earlier. I couldn't find the exact formula for how it relates to acrobatics, but what I do know is that with enough fatigue above your maximum fatigue, you won't take fall damage. There is precedent for never taking fall damage. Once you have 125 acrobatics, you can never get hurt by a fall, regardless of how high you fall from. It seems fatigue provides a similar effect at a certain point, regardless of your acrobatics level. What I find interesting is that I'm still getting hit like I would if I were taking damage from a fall, even if I take no damage. With 125 acrobatics, you don't get quote-unquote attacked by the fall. You just land as normal, as far as I'm aware. As fun as reverse engineering the math behind Morrowind may be, we have much more important things to do, such as getting the Bonebiter Bow of Sul Centipool from the Ursulaku Burial Grounds before even meeting with Sulmatul the Ashcan of the Ursulaku Ashlanders, because the Ursulaku Ashcan will Ursula ask us to do this anyway. Whew. These archer skeletons are way more dangerous than they look. Ranged attacks that can do physical damage. They could knock me over and keep me pinned down before I even get close enough to crush them with the battle axe. This is assuming I actually survive a single arrow to the knee. We kill Sulmatul's dad's ghost and bring the Bonebiter Bow of Sulmatul back to the Ursulaku Ashlander camp, becoming a clan friend of the Ursulaku Ashlanders, earning the right to learn more about the Nerevarine prophecies. We relay this information back to Caius, but now he wants us to deal with a bunch of Cronenberg nonsense going down in the caverns of Illinibi outside of Narmok. Unsurprisingly, ash slaves are still a pain in the ass. Thank you, the Fetter Hobbit, for the 5 gift subs. Uh-oh. Is a man. I'm gonna die. I died. Admittedly, that was my fault for lounging with one of these guys around the corner. Dagoth Gares was pretty easy to kill. Noodle snoots usually are. And once he dies, we immediately contract Corpus, Dagothur's divine disease. And for every day we don't get it cured, our case of Corpus worsens. And we gain 1 point of endurance and strength, and lose 1 point of speed, willpower, intelligence, and agility. Oh no, not our agility. It's super easy to exploit this because once we get it cured, the negative effects go away, but we keep the boosted strength and endurance. On top of that, because it takes us so long to heal, we can pass several weeks in seconds. No worries, however, I ain't letting Corpus make us strong. Not only will I get this cured immediately, but I'll also reset my attributes every single time it boosts them. Caius thinks the Corpus boils are gross, and he's right. So he tells us to talk to Telvanni Wizard and local Corpus expert, because he's got a basement full of Corpus monsters, Devaith Fear. To ingratiate ourselves with him, Caius gives us a Dwemer Coherer to offer up as a gift. The problem is that it's stupidly heavy. 40 Brambleplinths. Gotta drop some stuff. Those devil weapons are useless now. The bargain rising force potions weigh 1.5 each for some reason. You'd think they'd be lighter since they're levitation potions. And the Progress of Truth weighs 4. That's a heavy book. Devaith takes a literal weight off our shoulders and sends us to get his boots from Yegrim Begarn. Fear says he asked Yegrim to repair the boots, but I think this was actually a power move. It's like asking a bald man to fix a hairdryer. The Dwemer are so cool. Love their mysterious lore. Yeah, I mean, and look at this peak physique. He can use it, he can eat food off of himself. Oh, nope, that's not what I mean by peak physique. Their relationship, whatever it may be, is theirs and theirs alone. All I need is Fear to cure my Corpus. And lo, his potion worked, fulfilling yet another part of the Nerevarine prophecy. Nerevarine, away! You haven't heard from Milo in some time? She may be in trouble, you say.
I have you! Die.
Damn it, I forgot the Divine Intervention scroll. Every time, I swear. Yeah, she got arrested because Vivek's squad of thought police don't take too kindly to people discussing the possibility that Indoril Nerevar was betrayed by the tribunal during the Battle of Red Mountain. His ordinators wearing helmets made to look like Nerevar himself can't be anything more than a self-relating monument to the foul murder. And it's a monument whose irony only Vivek understands, like a serial killer filling his basement with his victims' skulls, a trophy for his own enjoyment. Sure, Vivek will play coy, do a little Muatra tugging, and brush off the accusation with a long-winded explanation that will ultimately end with, "These are matters only a god can understand." Azura says the tribunal killed Nerevar, and I'm more willing to believe her than someone who is literally two-faced. Oh look, a portal! With half of Gilvis Borello's entire friggin' library in my inventory, we venture back to the Urshulaku camp, not because I forgot to place a mark here, I just feel like walking. And we spill all this reading material upon Nabani Mesa. Sul-Matul won't reveal the details of the third trial of the Nerevarine prophecy without us first raiding Kogarin and getting him a bunch of crap. But I learned something interesting recently. Musical Daredevil did a Morrowind speedrun at this year's Summer Games Done Quick, and even though it's full of glitches, I did see that you didn't actually have to bother with Kogarin at all. You can just go to the Cavern of the Incarnate. I was skeptical that this would actually work in OpenMW. I don't even think it would work in the Game of the Year edition. Speedruns do a lot of down patching, and they did change what patch they were playing on mid-run as part of the run, so there's probably something screwy there, but I still want to check.
The door is locked and will not open.
Yep, can't do it. To Kogarin. Weepings. Cup. Shield. We got the stuff. Sul-Matul says we can keep all this junk because it was just a prank, bro, and he sends us to the Cavern of the Incarnate. But on the way to the cavern, we'll kill Calvaria the Vampire before Kaushad, the Zainab Ashkan, asks us to. It's on the way. So in the past, brambles were a huge issue, right? They would cover pathways and everything, so they'd have to clear out the brambles. But there was a species of wasp in the area that relied on the brambles. And without and you'd think like, okay, who cares about the wasps? But the wasps attract certain birds, and those birds were critical to the pollination to a lot of the crops in that region. So instead of just getting rid of the brambles, they cleared the brambles and they put them on the side of the road. But to make sure the brambles didn't blow away because they were kind of uprooted, they'd have to fasten them in place with a plinth. It was like this small rock thing. So we had Brambleplinths, and the Brambleplinths had a specific weight, and part of the sale of these Brambleplinths, because this was like specific farmers would do this to protect their roads. They would buy the Brambleplinths, and the cost was adjusted by how far they had to travel, because if it was heavier, it would take longer to travel. So then eventually it came down to, oh, well, if I'm shipping 10 Brambleplinths, since they're already making the trip, I might as well buy something else, like some sort of allotment of grain, like 3 allotments of grain or whatever, which also weigh like 2 Brambleplinths. It's like adding an extra couple Brambleplinths, and the price scaled downward. Like it wasn't linear. Like if you were already shipping 10 Brambleplinths worth of stuff, adding another 10 wouldn't cost the same as the first 10. It's like 1.5 times. So that's why Brambleplinths became a unit of measurement across the world. There you go. I have never heard that as a unit of measurement. There's a good reason for that. Oh no, the Greater Bonewalker has drained my strength. No. You know, playing with 1 strength really does a good job at showing how the main quest increases in difficulty. The enemies they throw at you get a lot stronger. In the Urshulaku burial grounds, the skeletons were fragile and died in 1 hit. Here, they take several hits. Although these skeletons don't have bows, so they're way less dangerous than the ones you'd find in the burial caverns. Wow, Calvario is tanky.
Nerevar.
Time for the best part of the main quest. Nerevarine and Hortator. Kaushad wants a Telvanni bride, and his wise woman is a creep who tells us to get him a sex slave instead. He won't know the difference, and that means escorting an NPC. Come on, pain in my ass. Save me, pain in my ass. I was trying to heal up. I sure hope Flora doesn't mind waiting a couple weeks. Zainab Neverine. Next, Ahamusa. More escorting. Bringing Falora across the Gracelands is a breeze compared to this. Sanamu is easily distracted by fish. And the fish, I was gonna say run away, but they flee. They swim away. And she chases them. And she vanishes. What the hell is she doing? I think the issue here is that the fish behave the same way most aggressive NPCs do when you levitate. If an NPC is in combat with you, but is unable to actually attack you, their flee value shoots up and they start running away shouting voice lines like, "You will be disgraced for this," or whatever. Fish don't do that because they can't make talk good like people do, so they swim away in fishy silence since they can't attack the people walking on top of the water. Surface tension, I guess. So what happens is I go in the water, a fish darts right up to me because, ooh, flesh. It attacks me, Sanamu tries to defend me, she attacks it, the fish can't attack her, so the fish swims away. And of course, Sanamu is aggro as hell, so she charges after them. But the fish swim about as fast as she runs, so they carry off into the sunset. I hate it. I should bring water walking next time. Enjoy your safe place to live, Sanamu, you dipshit. Before I forget, Urshulaku Nerevarine. I need to check back in on Sumatul. Azura vouched for us, so he names us Nerevarine, and gives us more useless crap we can drop. Rude? Yes, but we already got what we wanted from him. There's nothing left to be gained from this relationship. New canon for this character? He's a narcissist. The Arabanimsun is probably the simplest tribe to become Nerevarine of, but it's the least convenient camp to get to. Once we get there, the wise woman tells us the current leaders of the camp are too violent, so she wants us to kill them all.
You will suffer.
And now I've killed them all. They wouldn't have named us Nerevarine, but by taking their stuff and making it this guy's stuff, he names us Nerevarine of the Arabanimsun. Diplomacy at its finest. The Hortator journey. Why do I always do this? The journey to become Hortator may actually be a bit tougher this time around. We'll start with the Telvanni because I think this one will give me the most trouble, mostly because of Gothrin. Only because of Gothrin. He's got me worried. The other Telvanni counselors are simple. Just get their dispositions high enough, and they'll name us Telvanni Hortator. Berserk, then bribe. Their disposition shoots up like whoa. With Gothrin, we can berserk and taunt him, goading him into combat immediately, so we don't have to worry about his two friends downstairs. The Dark Elf and the Wood Elf, not his balls. The issue is multifaceted, however. First, there's his initial fireball attack. It'll surely kill me in a single hit if my Atronach Birth Sign doesn't suck it up. But I want to stay in the room when he casts it, so the AoE deals a bit of collateral damage to the Dremora. So the Atronach dice roll needs to be in my favor. Then there's the Dremora. They're not super strong or anything, but remember, a single hit is all it takes to knock me down. Gothrin has an untouched paralysis spell he likes to cast, so I have to constantly weave in and out of his melee range. You can't do that if you're lounging on the floor. But really, the Dremora are more likely to finish me off before it comes to that. Once I'm down, I'm as good as dead. Also, Gothrin has a lot of health and carries several health potions with him. Killing him before the Berserk buff wears off is unlikely due to how much of his health I have to actually chew through. So I have to be ready to leave this cell before the buff itself knocks me over. Staggering from damage might be survivable if I get lucky, but negative 150 fatigue? Yeah, that's death. It might not be so bad if you have fatigue potions on hand. Chug a few to stand back up, but potions are heavy and useless 99% of the time when you only have 4 fatigue, so we don't got any. Becoming the Telvanni Hortator gets us the Robes of the Hortator, which fortify our magicka by 20 points for 30 seconds. So we could cast a cheap-ish spell if we wanted to. I don't want to though. Oh man, Berserk would make it a 100% cast chance, wouldn't it? The Redoran Hortator quest is just a walking simulator. Rescue Aethan's kid, talk to the other counselors, challenge Bolvin to a duel, then go to Vivek and bonk him on the head. We'll come back to Aethan later after we become Hlalu Hortator. Crassius wants 1,000 gold, Drembaro thinks we're a toddler, and he's so impressed we found him that we have his support. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Dram? Mr. Barrow? Ingling wants 2,000 gold, but I don't actually have that. The Telvanni way isn't reserved only for Telvanni. With Berserk, we can easily convince Orvistren through speechcraft to vote for us as Hortator, but that's no fun. Then there's the last two counselors, Orvistren's little sycophants, Devena Ules and Valanda Omani. They were so excited to vote for me that they shrieked with joy once I arrived in their manors, gibbering mad and covered in Dren's blood. Vote secured, Crassius makes us Hortator and gives us a belt that fortifies our magicka by 20 points. Constant effect too, but we ain't no mage. When we return to Aethan Serethi and become Redoran Hortator, we get word that Vivek wants to speak with us. Tholar Saryani gives us a key to the palace and Vivek hands over Wraithguard. Of course, we still gotta try to kill him anyway. Yeah, no, this ain't happening. Onward to Red Mountain. Oh, Saint Jub, dispossess me of these fetid beasts of the air. Quite the fecund population, I do say. So vast their numbers, and so limited my patience. I dare not imagine the state of the skies during the mating season. The sun itself blotted out by these little assholes. Keening is simple enough. Kill the Golden Saint, kill Dagoth Odros, and oops. Okay, skip the Saint, go straight for Odros. Lots of health on this guy. Yeah, I could just pick the lock. That's too easy. So Keening is pretty light and all, but I'm still going to drop it off back in Alderaan, outside the temple right where Civic Intervention takes us, and then I'll recall back to Red Mountain and get Sunder. Sunder is pretty heavy though, way heavier than Keening. We'll figure something out, but let's actually get it first. The trick with the squid faces, and it's pretty complex, so listen up. Cast Berserk and jump so you go flying through the halls and don't have to fight them. Those poison balls are brutal. Oh my god, how much health does this no-name Dremora have? Oh, he's got deadly balls too. How's about I play peekaboo with the squid face so it runs out of magicka? Now it's easier to kill. Great. Leave the cell, rest up, recast Berserk, and take out Dagoth Vemin. Sunder weighs 40 Brambleplinths, so I can't bring it, Keening, and Wraithguard up the mountain at the same time. What I can do is drop Sunder next to Keening and come back for when I actually need them.
Come, Nerevar, friend or traitor, come. Come and look upon the heart and the Kulakan.
We don't gotta kill these guys, so who cares? Greetings, Dagoth. I have prepared an axe for you. Recall and intervention do work in this place, just not the next place, so we can mark the facility chamber and recall back with Sunder and Keening in hand. I am over encumbered, however. What do? Well, we can drop Sunder, walk forward a bit, pick it back up, drop it again, and do this over and over again until we can open the door into the heart chamber.
What a fool you are. I'm a god. How can you kill a god?
Then we just gotta lure Dagoth off the bridge, and we're free to take our time with the heart. Why not equip Sunder? It fortifies your strength by 20 points. That's more than enough to be able to carry everything. Yes, that's true. But remember, I said I didn't want to fortify my attributes. I know I can't not fortify my attributes when I equip Sunder or Keening to finish off the heart, but I can minimize the usefulness of the buffs by refusing to use them to make this final stretch easier. I'm quite committed to my asceticism. It's not that I didn't think to equip Sunder at the time instead of Keening, and am now just trying to retroactively justify my brain fart. It's not that at all. Luring Dagoth off the bridge was rather simple, but I still had the Berserk buff, and if you notice my health, yeah, leaping over the edge onto the bridge is a pretty risky maneuver. Fargoth's puny ring didn't heal me nearly enough, and, well, yeah. Frankly, running all the way back to the entrance to get Sunder would be annoying anyway. I have a better idea. Back in Belmora, we'll buy some muck from the resident basement wizards. Muck prices to the moon. And if we take this muck to the fields of Kumu, it's Kumu, there's no other way to say it, we can offer it to a shrine there that grants 100 points of feather for 48 minutes. Why am I just now utilizing this shrine's effect? Well, up until this point, everything was satisfactory. We recall back to the facility chamber, this time unburdened by the weight of Kagranak's tools, but still kind of burdened by the fact that these are technically weapons of genocide.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Fool! Stop! This is the end. The bitter, bitter end.
Oh, wait. There. Interesting run. Weird cheese in this one. I wonder if there's a way to easily damage your attributes in-game to get a similar effect. I also wonder how much harder this would be with, like, a Bosmer or something. Ooh, what if everything started at level 1? Skills included. That might be too brutal.